Picture this. You're in a room full of people. Someone tells a joke. Everyone laughs. You don't. Not because you didn't hear it, because you don't feel anything at all. Your best friend is crying, telling you something terrible happened, and you're looking at them like you're watching a documentary. Detached, clinical, empty, like you're not even there. This isn't hypothetical. This is dissociation, and millions of people are living in this state right now. Some by choice, most by accident, and they don't even know it's happening. You've been told that emotions make you weak, that feelings cloud judgment, that the goal is to be rational, logical, in control, and so you've trained yourself to shut them down, one by one. But here's what nobody tells you. When you turn off your emotions, you don't just turn off the pain, you turn off everything. And what's left isn't strength, it's a ghost. This is the trap, the belief that emotional detachment equals power, that numbness is the same as peace, that if you just stop caring, you'll finally be free. You won't. You'll be gone. And the scariest part? You won't notice it's happening. Because dissociation doesn't feel like losing yourself. It feels like finally being safe, like armor, like protection, until you realize the armor has become your prison. Let's break down what actually happens, neurologically, psychologically, existentially, when you flip the switch and cut yourself off from your own humanity. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Stage 1, the relief. At first, it feels amazing. The anxiety stops, the overthinking quiets, the constant emotional noise that's been drowning you for years just stops, and you think you found the answer. You walk through your day untouchable. Nothing gets to you. Criticism rolls off. Rejection doesn't sting. Heartbreak doesn't break you. You've become immune, and it feels like a superpower. This is what psychologists call emotional anesthesia. Your brain has decided that feeling anything is too dangerous, so it shuts down the entire system, like pulling the main breaker in a house to stop one faulty wire. And for a while, it works. You're productive, focused, efficient. You make decisions without second guessing. You cut people off without guilt. You operate like a machine, and machines don't get hurt. Jake did this. After his third breakup, he decided he was done being vulnerable, done getting attached, done feeling anything that could be used against him. He built walls so high, nothing could climb them. 6 months later, he was the most successful he'd ever been, promoted at work, in the best shape of his life, dating multiple people without getting attached. He thought he'd won. He'd beaten the system. But something was wrong. He couldn't explain it. He'd wake up and feel nothing. Not sad, not happy, just flat, like someone had turned down the saturation on reality itself. Everything was gray.
This is stage 2, the fade. Once your brain shuts down the pain receptors, it doesn't discriminate. Joy goes too. Excitement, curiosity, love, all of it gets filtered out. Because your nervous system can't separate good feelings from bad ones. Your brain operates on a volume dial, not individual sliders. When you turn down fear, you turn down passion. When you mute sadness, you mute happiness. It's a package deal, and nobody warns you about that part. You stop laughing at things that used to make you laugh. Music sounds flat. Food tastes like cardboard. Even victories feel hollow. You're winning, but you can't feel the win. And that's when the confusion starts. Because you got what you wanted. No more pain, no more emotional chaos. But you also lost something you didn't know you needed, the ability to feel alive. And without that, what's the point of any of it? This is the existential void. Philosophers have written about it for centuries. Nietzsche called it staring into the abyss. Camus called it the absurd. But in modern terms, it's simple. You've become a spectator in your own life. You're going through the motions, work, eat, sleep, repeat. But none of it matters, because mattering requires caring, and you've trained yourself not to care. And now you're stuck in a loop you can't escape. Emma experienced this after years of toxic relationships. She built armor so thick nobody could hurt her, and nobody did. But nobody could reach her either. She was safe and completely alone. Her friends stopped inviting her out, not because they didn't like her, but because she never reacted, never seemed excited, never seemed upset. She was pleasant, polite, empty, and people can feel that. This is stage 3, the isolation. When you stop feeling, people stop connecting with you, because connection requires reciprocity, emotional exchange, vulnerability, and you've shut all of that down. Humans are wired to mirror each other. When someone shares joy, we feel it. When someone shares pain, we feel that too. It's called emotional contagion, and it's how we bond, how we build trust, how we become real to each other. But when you're dissociated, you don't mirror anything. You're a black hole. People pour emotion into you and get nothing back. And eventually, they stop trying. Not out of malice, out of exhaustion. You become the person people describe as nice but distant, kind but cold, there but not really there. And you don't understand why, because from your perspective, you're fine, you're functioning. What's the problem? The problem is you're not a person anymore. You're a performance, a shell, going through the script of being human without actually experiencing it. And deep down, you know it. You just don't let yourself feel it. This is the paradox. You shut down emotions to protect yourself from pain. But in doing so, you create a different kind of pain, one that's harder to name, harder to fix, because it's not a feeling, it's the absence of feeling. And your brain starts to panic, because brains need stimulation, emotional input. Without it, they deteriorate. So your mind starts creating problems just to feel something, anything, even if it's bad.
This is why dissociated people often end up in chaotic situations, risky behavior, toxic relationships, drama. Not because they want chaos, but because chaos is the only thing that penetrates the numbness. You start picking fights for no reason, watching disturbing content, putting yourself in dangerous situations because your brain is screaming for sensation. And when normal emotions are offline, you need extremes to feel anything. Psychologists call this sensation seeking. It's a symptom, a red flag, a sign that your emotional system is so starved it's willing to take poison just to taste something, anything, other than nothing. Marcus got into this. After shutting down emotionally, he found himself doing reckless things, driving too fast, gambling, starting arguments with strangers. He didn't know why. He just knew he felt more alive when things were falling apart. And here's the twist. The whole time, you think you're in control. You think you're choosing this, choosing to be detached, choosing to be rational, but you're not. Your trauma is choosing for you, because dissociation isn't a strategy, it's a defense mechanism. It's what your brain does when reality becomes too overwhelming to process. It's not strength, it's an emergency shutdown, and it was never meant to be permanent. When you were a kid and something hurt too much, your brain hit the pause button, froze the moment, separated you from the experience so you could survive it. That's dissociation, and it saved your life once. But now you're using a survival tool as a lifestyle. And survival tools aren't designed for long-term use. They're designed to get you through the immediate threat, and then you're supposed to come back, process, heal, move forward. Except you never did. You stayed in the freeze, and now it's not protecting you, it's erasing you, bit by bit, memory by memory, feeling by feeling, until there's nothing left but the hollow outline of who you used to be. This is stage 4, the erosion. Your personality starts to fade, your preferences disappear, you stop having opinions, desires, dreams, because all of those things require emotional investment, and you've cut the power. People ask what you want for dinner. You say you don't care. They ask what movie you want to watch. You don't care. They ask what you want out of life. You don't care. And they start to realize you're not being easygoing. You're being absent. This is depersonalization, the feeling that you're watching yourself from outside your body, like you're a character in a movie you're not even interested in, and the director isn't you, it's autopilot. You look in the mirror and don't recognize yourself, not physically, but the person staring back feels like a stranger, someone you used to know, someone you used to be, before you decided being was too dangerous. And the terrifying part, you can't just turn it back on. Emotions don't have a light switch, they have a dimmer. And when you've been living in the dark for too long, even a little bit of light feels blinding, painful, unbearable. This is why people stay dissociated, even when they know it's hurting them, because coming back means feeling everything they've been avoiding, all at once, the backlog of grief, anger, fear, shame. It's a flood, and they'd rather stay numb than drown.
Sarah tried to come back. After 2 years of emotional shutdown, she decided to let herself feel again. And the first thing that came up was rage. Years of suppressed anger hitting her like a freight train. She broke down, scared herself, shut back down. This is the rebound effect. When you suppress emotions, they don't disappear, they accumulate. And when the dam breaks, they come out amplified, distorted, explosive, which is exactly what you were afraid of in the first place. So you stay in the gray, the safe zone, where nothing hurts but nothing helps, where you're protected from pain, but also from healing, from growth, from connection, from life itself. And time passes, months, years. You look back and realize you don't remember most of it, not because you forgot, but because you weren't present. You were a ghost haunting your own existence, and ghosts don't make memories. This is dissociative amnesia. Your brain stops encoding experiences because experiences require emotional tagging, and when emotions are offline, nothing sticks. Your life becomes a blur, a fog, a blank space where a story should be. You meet someone who says, "Remember that time we..." and you don't. Not because it didn't matter, but because you weren't there. You were in your body, but you weren't home. And now that moment is gone forever. And the worst part, you can't get it back. Time doesn't rewind. Moments don't repeat. The version of you that could have felt that joy, that love, that connection is gone. And all that's left is the regret of knowing you missed it by choice. This is the price, the real cost of turning off your emotions, not the absence of pain, but the absence of everything else, the moments that make life worth living, the connections that make you human, the experiences that make you you. So what's the way out? How do you come back from the void? How do you rewire a brain that's learned to survive by not feeling? The answer is uncomfortable, slow, and requires the one thing you've been avoiding: vulnerability. You have to let yourself feel, in small doses, controlled environments, with support. You can't flip the switch back on all at once, but you can turn the dimmer, slowly, 1 degree at a time, until the light stops hurting. This is called gradual exposure. You start with low-stakes emotions, watching a movie and letting yourself feel something, listening to music and allowing a response, talking to someone safe and not monitoring every word. It feels ridiculous at first, like you're faking it, performing emotion rather than feeling it. But that's how it starts, because your brain has to remember what emotions are, how they work, what they're for. You're teaching yourself to be human again. Therapy helps, specifically trauma-informed therapy, because dissociation is a trauma response, and you can't logic your way out of trauma. You have to process it, feel it, integrate it, and that requires a guide, someone who's walked this path before. Medication can help too, not to numb you further, but to stabilize the nervous system so emotions don't feel so overwhelming, so the rebound effect doesn't send you running back to the void, so you can stay present long enough to heal. But the most important part, compassion for yourself. Because you didn't choose dissociation out of weakness, you chose it out of survival. And survival is not something to be ashamed of, it's something to honor, and then gently outgrow.
You have to forgive yourself for the years you spent numb, for the moments you missed, for the people you hurt by being absent, not because you're bad, but because you were doing the best you could with the tools you had, and now you're learning better tools. This is the hardest part, accepting that you can't get those years back, that the version of you that existed before dissociation is gone, and the version that comes after won't be the same, but it will be real. And real is what you've been missing. Because here's the truth they don't tell you. Emotions aren't the enemy. Pain isn't the problem. The problem is a world that taught you that feeling makes you weak, that vulnerability is failure, that being human is something to fix. And you believed it because you had to, because nobody gave you another option, because survival meant shutting down, and you survived. But survival isn't the same as living, and you deserve to live. So you start small. You let yourself feel one thing, just one. Maybe it's anger, maybe it's sadness, maybe it's just the faint echo of something that used to be joy. And it's messy and uncomfortable, and you want to run, but you don't. You stay, you breathe, you let it wash over you, and it doesn't destroy you. It moves through you like a wave. And when it's gone, you're still here, still standing, still alive. And that's when you realize feeling won't break you. Not feeling will. And slowly the world comes back. Colors get brighter, music sounds richer, food tastes like something, and people stop feeling like NPCs. They become real again because you're real again, and real recognizes real. You laugh at something and it's genuine, not performed, not calculated, just a spontaneous human reaction to something funny, and it feels foreign and familiar, like coming home after a long trip to a place you'd almost forgotten existed. This is the other side, not the absence of pain, but the presence of everything, the full spectrum, the highs and lows, the joy and the grief, the love and the loss, all of it together, messy, beautiful, human, and finally yours. Because turning off your emotions doesn't make you stronger, it makes you smaller, and you were never meant to be small. You were meant to feel it all, and survive it, and grow from it, and become the person who can hold all of it without breaking. That's power.